Are you doing the inner work? So, this is something that I've been working on for the past 6, 7 months. And the inner work is all about the work that goes on up here in your mind, your worldview, mindset, mentality, your thoughts, everything. The for the first half, I've been reading books for about 13 months. So, a little over a year. And the first half I was just focused on external work like diet, health, fitness, other things, but like breathing, all this stuff, which is great, and I'm very glad I did that. But then I got this book, Reality Transurfing, and then I went on this path of doing the inner work. It's all about cleaning up everything that goes on up here in your head, cleaning all of that up. That's the inner work. And one of the best tools that I've discovered for doing the inner work is this thing called the Gateway Experience, which is basically just meditation. It's a guided meditation. So you could just say that the best tool is meditating, which I've been meditating for the past like 4 months or so consistently. And I found that I've been meditating 4 months, and that helped a lot with the inner work. I was able to stay more focused throughout the day. My mind, I had more control over my mind. I was able to just clear my thoughts easier. But once I started doing the Gateway Experience, I started doing this one specific exercise, which is called the energy conversion box. And what it is, it's basically when you first get into your meditation. So it's your pre-preparatory process is what they call it. And the energy conversion box is basically a box that can hold anything in the world. Anything, it can hold the heaviest thing ever. And I basically see it as an Minecraft chest. If you've ever played Minecraft before, it's basically you can put anything you want in it, and like no matter the weight, the size, or anything, and it's infinite. So I basically just open my energy conversion box, and then I place inside all of my things. So they say place inside of it your worries, anxieties, fears, and concerns. So that's what I do. I do that in the beginning. I say worry, I literally just go through. I say worry, put it in there. Anxiety in there. Concern, fear, and then I just keep on going back and forth, creating that and then putting it in there. Like you're supposed to create like an image of it and then put it in there. But for worries, anxieties, fear, I literally just say worry and then I put it in. Anxiety and I put it in. And then I put in there's a few other things that I put in, like impatience. So I actually make a symbol for this. It's kind of like two arrows pointing to the right, two kind of like tips of the arrows. That's the impatience. And then I put in expectations. And there's a few other things that I put in, which I'll get into soon, which I found that this one specific exercise in my meditations, I've only been doing it for a month. Like I've been doing the Gateway Experience for around about a month. And so I've only been doing that specific energy conversion box exercise for about a month. And it's definitely helped, because in the beginning, like I didn't really use it that well. I was just putting worries, anxieties, fears, just general stuff. But now I put specific things. For example, one of the most influential things that I put in was there was a point in time where I was wasting too much energy thinking about my friend. Yeah, that's real. Like we were both the reason why this has a whole backstory. So when we first met, like 4 months ago, or actually 5 months ago, right in the beginning of summer, we met, and we're both on self improvement. So we were kind of like on our own paths when we first met. And then slowly but surely we kind of started to merge paths. And then for like a few months we were on the same path. Like we were doing the same exact things. We were both our daily routines were pretty much identical. We were both reading the same books. Everything was the same. And then recently we started like split paths again. We started going different directions. And so this like kind of I wasn't really conscious of this. And then for like a good week, maybe even longer, I was like I had these like negative energies. I felt these negative energies around him. And it's all just because I was in my own head, or I was just trying to control the situation and try and control it and keep him on the same path as me. But then I came conscious of it, and then I was able to release my grip of control. And one thing that I found is I put him in my energy conversion box. And I told him about this too, and he just laughed. So I literally I just say my friend's name, and then I like see a picture of his face, and then I just throw him in the energy conversion box. And I found that I don't know if it's like a subconscious change or something, but it actually helps. Like that works. It works so much. Like literally after a few days, maybe even like one day, but after a few days of that, I just don't think about it anymore. I don't think about him anymore. So I had so much success with that. And then I decided to do this one thing. And this next thing requires context. So right now, my goal is like the goal that I visualize every day is to move to Hawaii. And it's gotten a lot more elaborate. Like every day it gets more elaborate. So pretty much right now, my current slide, my visualization is I'm in Hawaii and I own a quarter of a mile of a private beach. And it's right in front of my house. So I go down the steps from my house, and on the right there's surfboards. And then there's this whole beach. And then on the left, there's this probably like a few hundred feet to the left, there's a massive like kind of rock formation that makes it like an isolated area. And then along the wall of that rock formation is a pathway, like a dock. And then the dock goes out, and then it turns and then goes out towards sea, which has my yacht. And then my yacht is there. So then I own all this. And my surfboard that I use is all black, and it's gold. It's all black with gold letters on it saying to Comma Club X, which means that I made $10 million a year. And then on the right, I have just another isolated area. So it's my own private isolated beach. And it's a surfing beach also with surfing waves. And I basically have a wife in my slide, and we basically just walk around naked. That's my slide, because I don't like wearing clothes, to be honest. So we just walk around naked, and I surf, go on the yacht, and we like meditate on the beach. We do some other stuff, but we'll not get into that. Okay, so that's context. And there's one thing that I realized. It's throughout my day, there's this one issue that I have, and it's lust. I keep on like looking at girls and just wasting my energy and checking them out. Like it's a waste. And I've been conscious of this, yet I still do it. But after having so much success with putting my friend in the energy conversion box, there's this one thing that I started doing. I literally put girls in my energy conversion box. Literally just girls. There's just a general picture of a circle with like a line out of it, because I'm not good at visualizing. So I literally say a circle with a line, and that just symbolizes like a girl with a ponytail. Like that is literally just, I put that in the box. And that in combination with another technique that I use, it's actually, I'm so like, it's only been probably 2 days of this, and I'm already so much better off. Like I don't have any, I still have a tendency to look at other girls, but there's this other thing that I do to make sure that I don't. And then that's the energy conversion box. And then you go through resonant tuning, which is basically just flowing the energy up your head, floating around in your head, and then exiting through your feet. And then you go through resonant energy balloon, which is basically just flowing it up your head and then up past your head, out of your body, and then it like envelops you. I like to spiral it down over your body, surrounding you in like a cocoon of energy, and then it goes back up through your feet, and then you just repeat that process. And then you state your affirmation. So what I like to do is I end the energy or the resonant energy balloon by putting it up into my head, and then I state my affirmation. So I have all that energy in my head to have a more powerful, energetic affirmation. And right now, they have an affirmation, but it's too long to memorize for me. And to be honest, I don't really like it that much. So I made my own. I am more than my physical body. I deeply desire the help from those who are further along the journey than me and have good intent to help me along my journey to gain access to higher levels of consciousness. I am more than my physical body. I am focused. I am focused. I am focused. I am a man with high standards for when it comes to women. And that's the last thing I added. That last piece. I'm a man with high standards when it comes to women. And that I repeat to myself every single time I see a girl that I may want to check out. And I just say I have high standards. I don't waste my energy on girls that is not my wife. So now I'm getting serious. Like for the past couple weeks, months, years, I was not serious about my goals. Like even over the past couple weeks, I was not serious. But once I added my wife to my visualizing, and then I started putting girls in the energy conversion box, and I started doing the inner work during my meditation for relating to girls and lust. That's when I start getting serious. Now I know that I'm focused on my goals, and I'm focused on my future wife, no one else, nothing else. So I really think that, like, I'm going to be honest, all summer I was like visualizing my goals, probably like maybe if I was lucky, like a minute a day, not often. And there was many days where I just didn't. And this was when I was podcasting, going through, but to be honest, I was not like visualizing enough. But ever since I added visualizing to a couple weeks ago, I added visualizing to my meditation routine. So now I get at least 3 visualization sessions guaranteed every day while I'm high energy in that meditative state. So it's more effective as well. But it's also that inner work. Like more and more as I'm doing the inner work more and more, I realize how important and valuable it is. Because first of all, when me and my friend were having that tension, which I don't think he was having tension towards me, it was just entirely on my part, by the way. Like it was just me. It was just on my side. Like he didn't, I talked to him about it, and I'm pretty sure he didn't feel anything like that. He was just normal. So it was all mine. It was all on my side. It was all in my mind. And then I did the inner work by doing that. Like you place him in the energy conversion box, and then it slowly but surely, I found that it's pretty quick, fairly quick. Like 2 to 3 days is fairly quick. If you do it like 3 times a day during meditation, that's fairly quick to get that done. Very quick result. So that's the inner work. I realized like after that is so valuable. And then I started doing it with the girls. And like today at the gym, there's this one girl that I see pretty often there. And a lot of the times I'm like into her. But today I'm like I just kept on repeating, I have high standards. I have high standards. And now I'm like I'm now I'm focused more on my goals. Like I'm having a hard time like putting this stuff to words, but pretty much when you do the inner work and you lock in, like you lock in to your goals when you do your inner work. Meditating has been the best tool for me to for the inner work. And it's simply because of this one tool, the energy conversion box. And I'm sure that there's going to be so much more stuff that I learn about along the way. Like, for example, I'm only 1 month into the Gateway experience. And this whole first month, I was only on wave 1. This whole first month, I was just focusing on getting to focus 10, which is mind awake, body asleep, which I thought that it was you have to get sleep paralysis to be able to achieve it. That's why I was spending so long on it. When I literally just before I did my meditation, so I meditated just before this episode, and then just before that meditation, I was down here on my computer editing yesterday's episode, but also looking up while that was editing. I was looking up the Gateway Experience Focus 10 because I was wondering when I should move on to Wave 2, which is Focus 12, which is where it actually starts to get interesting. Because Focus 10 is basically just a deep meditation. It's just a normal meditation that you can achieve. And I have achieved it before without the Gateway tapes. But Focus 12 is when it starts to get real. Like it starts to get crazy. That's what I've heard. So I wanted to know when to move on to Focus 12, and I looked it up, and there's this one woman who posted on some website that said she did Focus 10, and she explained her Focus 10, which was just her body was like relaxed, but she was still able to move it. Like she was able to move her body, but it was just relaxed. And then once she got that, she was able to move on to Focus 12. So now I'm moving on to Focus 12. Actually, just before this episode, I did my first meditation on Wave 2 of Intro to Focus 12. Now, I have done Wave 2 before. Like I did the first exercise and the second exercise before, but that was just me testing it. Just me like experimenting, not like seriously doing it. But now I'm serious about it, and I'm going to focus on getting into Focus 12 because now I know that I've gotten to Focus 10. And all of this, like, I've just been focusing on getting to Focus 10. And I get to Focus 10, and then for the rest of the time, I just visualize my goal. And there's one thing that I do with my goals. I want to tell you this. When I'm visualizing, I initially created my goal of surfing probably a few months ago when I was at the park with my friend when he just got back from vacation, and he surfed on vacation, and he said, "You know what's really fun?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "Surfing." And then instantly I had this, like, my heart started singing because it was like a long lost desire of mine that I never achieved, but I always wanted to surf, and I've never done it before. And so ever since then, that's been my goal. And so my slide, which is my visualization, evolved over time. Like originally it was just me surfing. And then after like a couple weeks or months, I added in like my house. I wanted to live there. And then after a while, I added in, like literally recently, I started adding in more stuff. Like I added in my specific surfboard, which was all black and gold letters and 2 comma club X. So that symbolized that I made $10 million a year. And then I added in the dock that led to my yacht. That was a huge addition. And then I added in the beach right in front of my, like the quarter-mile beach, private beach right in front of my house. And that's pretty much all that I have so far. But I want to, like, pretty much only the left side of my image is developed. and I want to develop the right side to like figure out what's going on. But there's one thing that I like, one rule that I have for visualization: don't like intentionally add things. And let me explain. So when I'm visualizing and something pops up, like I suddenly have this desire to go on a yacht, then I add the yacht to my visualization. Like I didn't intend to have a yacht in my visualization, but all of a sudden while I was visualizing my surfing or on the beach, I was like, "Oh, I want to go on a yacht." So then I added a dock and then a yacht. And I didn't really like I want to get make it clear that I didn't do it like intentionally. It just kind of the idea just came to me, you know? I didn't like try to come up with the idea. I didn't try and come up with things to add to my visualization just for the sake of it. I just had it come to me naturally. And that's what I'm doing for the rest of my visualization. That's why I'm not adding in like the right side of my beach or any other thing, because I want it to like be natural, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much what I'm doing with my visualization. And I found that ever since I started going hard, like going hardcore or locking in on my visualization and basically just focusing on it a lot, throughout my day, I'm starting to actually think about it a lot more. I'm starting to think about my goals, and I'm starting to actually change my actions, because now I know that I have to, like, I want this. Like, this is what I desire. And that's another thing I learned about: 10x is easier than 2x. Operate on a level of want. Like, ever since I learned about wanting versus needing and how you should always be a wanter and not a needer, I've been always operating under want, because it's so important. You things that you need is a scarcity mindset. But if you want things, that means you create. Like right now, I don't need the Hawaii. I don't need to live in Hawaii, but I want to. So now I have to create and I have to add value. And so now I'm getting more serious about content creation. So the original kind of phrase that caused me to start podcasting was from Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. And Russell said, if you post daily for an entire year, you'll never have to worry about money again. And so I just kind of started, because I figured that if you just start, then you can figure it out along the way and get better along the way. And then eventually you'll be able to actually make it. And ever since then, I've been seeing more and more confirmation of this. For example, I just recently read in a book called Create, Don't Capture, which I don't even think is released yet. I got it at Funnel Hacking Live as a pre-release. And so I've read half of it so far, and it's actually really beneficial for me. And in that, he said, there was someone that said a quote. I don't remember who said this quote, but it's, "You can't steer a parked car." And instantly, I made the connection to the fact that you have to start moving along. Like, because he was talking about just start creating content and then figure it out along the way. Like, you can't steer a parked car. Like, you can't steer an empty channel that has no content, if that makes any sense. Maybe there's some context that I'm missing, because I don't even think that I'm making sense right now. But to me, it makes sense to me because I read the book and I have some context. But that's pretty much it. And I'm getting a lot more serious about the content creation, because okay. So there's this one. This is another confirmation that I had when I was first starting my podcast. I was also going to the park. This was during summer, and I'd go to the park with my friend, and I'd be like, I kind of like for the good like 2 or 3 weeks, we were talking about like what we were doing. We'd always say, "What's your critical task?" And then we'd say it, and then we would achieve it. But then after a few weeks of that, I was like, dude, I'm not doing anything for my business. Like, the only thing that I'm doing for my business is podcasting. And then after a few weeks of that, after like a few weeks after that, he was like, "Are you gonna work on stuff for your business?" And I was like, "No, this is my business. Like podcasting is my business." And so that's when I realized like that I had like this suspicion that this is the most important thing that I can do, so I should focus all in on this. And then I read in the Create Don't Capture book that my suspicion was instantly confirmed. He said, "This is your business. Like this is the most important thing that you do for your business, because you can create your personal brand, your personal channel, and then you don't even have to have a business, because you have your personal channel, and then you can make a business and then sell through your personal channel. Or if you get bored of that business, you can create a new one." But essentially, so creating content is the most important thing for your business. And so more and more I'm realizing that just how true Russell Brunson's statement was of, if you post daily on your show, you'll never have to worry about money again. But I've also found that, obviously, I'm on episode 84, I think. I don't have the episode title in front of me anymore because I switched to a different recording software, so I don't see the number I'm on anymore. But I think I'm on around episode 84. And I have started to create TikToks and YouTube Shorts, which I actually am very happy with the progress that I made, because after like 4 days maybe of it, I got 250 views on like 3 TikToks in a row, which is awesome. Because in Create Don't Capture, he was saying that in the beginning, you're not going to have any views. Like 200 views is a lot in the beginning, and having 1 like or 2 likes is a lot in the beginning. But I had like 2 or 3 likes with 250 views. So I'm doing very well, I think. And then there's another thing. I realized that I have to start scripting out my podcasts, because there's a lot of times where I'm not okay. So first of all, my episodes, I'm pretty sure I'd never listen to them, because I just don't want to waste the time re-listening to them, which is probably a bad idea, because I could probably figure out what I'm doing bad. But I'm fairly certain that my podcasts are hard to follow, and that's probably why most people don't listen to them, because I never script it, so I kind of just say what comes to mind. And since our minds are like naturally scattered, I jump back and forth between subjects. And so what I'm thinking is there's 2 things that I have to start doing. Scripting out, which I'm not just going to script out word for word. I'm just going to write down general bullet points and general notes, which I've actually done partially for this episode, but I didn't do enough. I just have general bullet points, which it was meditation, and then I said energy conversion box, girls, affirmation, girls, and then inner work, and that's all I wrote down. But that basically got me like the first 20 minutes of the episode, and that was just one topic. And so, but I just spent like 2 minutes scripting that out. And so what I'm planning on doing is I'm actually recording another episode directly after this, which is going to be tomorrow's episode, which is Transurfing Principles Part 10, the final part of the series. So look out for that. And those are scripted. Like those are all, I have like a lot of notes for those. Like they're not word for word scripted, but there's a lot of notes in those. And so that's tomorrow, but all week this week, tomorrow is Tuesday, as well as, okay, so for me, as of recording, tomorrow's Tuesday, and the next day is Wednesday, and my gym routine is 3 days on, 2 days off. And I went to the gym on Saturday, Sunday, and today, which is Monday. So tomorrow and Wednesday I have off, so I have like plenty of time after school And my plan is to get a jump on this new routine, this new schedule, which I learned about in 10x is easier than 2x. It's basically you have to rework your work week to incorporate rest days, focus days, and buffer days. And I'd never had rest days. I'd never had rest days purposely like implemented in my work week. I just record every single day, daily. I just record daily. So I never have rest days. But what I think will actually help with my quality of episodes is to record like 3 episodes or 4 episodes on Saturday and 3 episodes on Sunday. And then the rest of the week, just rest and prepare the scripts. So I'll spend like 2 or 3 days preparing the script. On Monday and Tuesday, I'll probably prepare the or no, I wouldn't even do it on those days. I'd probably do it like Thursday and Friday. I'm still kind of like sketching out this new routine that I'll do. But essentially, my kind of general outline, what I kind of want to do is Monday, Tuesday, rest day. And then, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, rest day. And on those rest days, I'm going to follow my normal routine, which is just reading. I'm just going to read on those days. And I'm going to start taking a lot of notes while I'm reading again, because that's what I did on Transurfing. And I was able to get like 10 episodes of just pure Transurfing Principles episodes. So I'm just going to take a lot of notes from my books. I'm going to start doing that. And then I'll do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on Thursday and Friday, I'll read also. Like I read every day. So I'll read also, but this time I'm going to be in the afternoon, I'm going to be focusing on creating scripts for my episodes. So Thursday and Friday will be scripting days, and I'll script out 7 episodes total on those 2 days. And this is going to be 7 hours worth of content because each episode is 1 hour. So then on Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to lock in, and Saturday I'll record 4 episodes, and Sunday I'll record 3 episodes, which that means that I'm going to have 4 hours of recording on Saturday. And I'm going to meditate in between every single one so I can have high quality. And that's kind of my plan, but it'll probably change with time because I'm not sure how that will turn out with the scripts. I'm not sure if I'll be able to even read enough content to record 7 hours of scripts. I don't even know. But for the first week, since I want to maintain, I don't want to not record the first week. So I'm going to continue to record daily episodes as well as maintain these, as well as create the script for future episodes. Which the first week's going to be tough. But after that, it'll be free flow from there. And this will be very beneficial because I realize that rest is so important. Like I rest for lifting. Like I know that rest is important for lifting, but for work, it's extremely important. I learned that in 10x is easier than 2x. And there's one other thing that I was thinking about. And I was thinking my mind was just talking to itself, and my mind asked him, why don't you implement anything from the first read on, or from 10x is easier than 2x? And then I responded. I was like, because I never implement the first time. The first time is just to get an idea of reading it. And then the second time I read it through, I go crazy, in implementing. And that's kind of what I did with Transurfing. The first time I barely implemented anything, just simple things. And then the second time I implemented a bunch of stuff. And that's kind of what I plan to do with 10x, because I feel like it's a lot harder. It requires a lot more willpower to implement things just by getting the fresh knowledge and it's fresh to you, versus when you let it settle in after the first read through and then you read it a second time so it's strengthened. It requires a lot less willpower because now it's part of your worldview. Now you choose to do it and you want to do it now. So maybe it's an easy way out, but I feel like it's a lot better, and it's worked for me. So that's what I'm doing. But I want to talk more about meditation. The inner work. Let's talk about inner work. What I found is, so I've been talking about this a lot lately. The difference between hyper successful people and average mediocre people is just in their head. Like there's a lot of millionaires that have average physiques, average health, average like looks and appearances. And I saw this at Funnel Hacking Live. Like a lot of people just looked like average, normal, ordinary people, but they were like millionaires. So what that means is the only difference, like the only difference is up here in the head, in their mind. One, they have all the knowledge, like they know how to do things because they read a lot of books. Two, they did implement, but that requires like inner work. The amount of inner work required for going into entrepreneurship is immense. So they implemented, so they have the experience and they know how to do it. But three, probably the most important, is the inner work that they did, which is all about their worldview, their mindset, their attitude, everything that goes on in their life. And I go so far to say then that's the foundation. Like I truly believe that you're like everything that goes on in your mind, everything inside your mind, your thoughts, emotions, attitudes, worldview, mindset, is all the foundation to life. Like whatever level of worldview you have correlates with whatever level life you have. So if you, and I talked about this in probably my best episode that I've ever recorded. I'm pretty sure it was episode 73 or 74. I don't know. But in that episode, I talked about your life is like it's like building a building on top of a foundation. So whenever you build something, you build a foundation first, and then you build the building, and then you decorate the building. And so basically what I believe is you should build the foundation first, obviously. But the foundation is your worldview. Like it's all your mind. It's everything in your mind. That's the foundation. And then you can build on like the building, all that stuff. But I truly believe that I will get extremely far in life just by focusing on my worldview. Because let me explain. When I first decided, all right, no, let me go way back. Back when I first started reading. Actually, okay, there's one rule that I made for myself early on in my podcast, and it's not to go on my computer while I'm recording. But I'm going to break that rule just today, just for this, because I really think that this will be beneficial. So what I'm doing right now is I pulled up my iCloud Notes, like my notes app on my phone, but I have it on my computer. And on here is just a list of all of the books that I read in order. So in 2022, the first book that I read was Oxygen Advantage. That was the first self-improvement book I had ever read. First self-improvement book. I got benefit out of that, but I didn't really implement that much. Second book is How to Break Up With Your Phone. And that book actually, I didn't really get much benefit, but I got like the strategies behind it. And as a result, I was able to figure out how to make it easy to stop using my phone. And as a result, I ended up not using my phone. And then I read Above the Line, which is a book about like a football coach. I didn't really find much benefit out of it. I didn't really like it that much, but I read the whole thing. And then I read The Alter Ego Effect, but I didn't read the whole thing. It was not that good. And then I read some weird sleep book. It was not that good. And then, okay, here's where it gets interesting. The next book I read was Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. Now, this book, I had already kind of had suspicions at this time that I was kind of like, huh, well, how do I want to like be rich? Like that was kind of what I wanted to do. So I read Unscripted, and this radically shifted everything. At the time, I didn't want to go to college, but I was gonna go just because I didn't like know any other path. But I'd never wanted to go to college. But I was gonna go just because I didn't know what else to do. So once I read Unscripted, I instantly was like, no, I'm not going to college. And then that was kind of when I first got this like notion of changing my mindset. And then I read The Millionaire Fastlane, which is also a very good book by the same person. But I like Unscripted a lot better because Unscripted started to change my worldview and my mindset. And then I read Ultra Learning. Okay, and then I just read like a bunch of different books that were kind of unrelated to the inner work. So now let's skip all the way down to Reality Transurfing. That book I read, and then I realized that this like okay, so the first time I read it, it was like too much for me, so I had to read Estrogeneration, and then I read part of Meditations, and then I read The Way of the Spirit Man. And then I went back to Reality Transurfing and I finished it. And then after I finished Reality Transurfing the first time, something happened. Before, if you look at my reading list, I was kind of reading like random stuff. Like I was reading Oxygen Advantage. I was reading about breathing, sleeping, learning, diet, breathing again, sleeping again, dreaming, like lucid dreaming, power. Like I was reading a bunch of different books. Estrogeneration, which is like estrogenics, like all the harmful substances that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Like I was reading random books, but they were all like what I was interested in learning about and fixing at the time in my life. And then after I finished Way of the Spirit Man, or not Way of the Spirit, the Reality Transurfing, a shift happened. Ever since I read Reality Transurfing, up until, like, even up until today, I've only read books related to entrepreneurship. So I read Transurfing, and then I read The Millionaire Fastlane again for the second time, and then I read .com Secrets, and then I read LLC Beginner's Guide. It was a weird little one-off book. And then I read The 4-Hour Work Week, and then I read Expert Secrets, and then I read Traffic Secrets, and then I read E-Myth Revisited. And then I started to read Expert Secrets halfway through, or I read it halfway through a second time. I ended up stopping that because I was reading Transurfing again. So I read Transurfing again the second time. And then I read The Linchpin, and then 10X is Easier Than 2X. All of these books relate to entrepreneurship. And now I'm realizing, because right around the time I finished, right after I finished Reality Transurfing the second time through, so I spent 2 months after reading all these entrepreneurships, I spent 2 whole months just focused on worldview again. And then I went to Funnel Hacking Live, and while I was there, I read The Linchpin. And I realized that at Funnel Hacking Live, like the only difference between the people on stage and the people in the crowd and me is the mindset and everything that goes on in their mind, because they all look like normal people. So the only difference is everything that goes on up in your head. And so what I discovered is I need to just I think that I'll get like all the knowledge that I gained just from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books, 7, 8, like 6 to 8 books about entrepreneurship and business. Like that's all enough knowledge, because now all I need to do is worldview, mindset, and implement. So then I read 10x is easier than 2x, which is mindset. And then now I'm reading Create Don't Capture, which is a business book, but it's directly tied to what the only thing that I'm focusing on right now, which is content creation. So that's good. But then the next books that I'm reading, is all about worldview. Actually, I'm not sure because I've never read them before, but there's a few on there that are all about worldview, and they're like spirituality. And let me list them all. I'm reading 7 of them, and this is the first time that I've ever done something like this where I read 7 all at once. I just pick up one, read until I lose focus, and then switch to the next one, and then read till I lose focus, and then just rinse and repeat and cycle through them all like that. And I learned about that on a website called The Most Beautiful World. And he said you can read a book a day using that method, so I'm not sure how effective it will be, but I'm going to try it out. So I got 7 books, and they are Dancing After the Music Stops. It's a book on spirituality. And then Die Wise and Come of Age, which are 2 books I have no idea what they're about, but I think they're about like worldview. And then Egypt Code, which is about why the pyramids, I think it's about spirituality as well. And then Journey Out of the Body, which is about the Gateway Experience. But not necessarily, I don't think it's necessarily about the Gateway Experience, but it's about Robert Monroe, which is Robert Monroe created the Gateway Experience. But it's about his book about his like adventures and stories of him going out of his body, like having out of body experiences. So that'll be interesting because this is exactly what I'm learning or what I'm practicing doing right now. Not necessarily out of body experiences, but I do intend to do that in the future. But right now I'm just doing the Gateway Experience so I can get that inner work as well as a meditation, which is the inner work, as well as visualizing for my goals. And then I'm reading, what is this one? I forgot. There's one more, and then it's Tufti, the Priestess. Oh, Ascent on Humanity. So Ascent on Humanity, I think will radically shift my like worldview. And then Tufti, the Priestess is just another book by Vadim Zeland, who wrote Reality Transurfing. So it's a worldview. So all these books are like spirituality and worldview. I have all the business knowledge, and if I don't, then I can go back and read more business books. But right now I truly believe that the way forward like is not to learn more business books. The way forward is to level up my personal character. Because I also had this suspicion, like it was evident I had this suspicion 2 months before I even went to Funnel Hacking Live. I was just focusing on worldview. Like I wasn't reading any of business books in preparation for a business conference. Like I wasn't reading any of that. So I had this suspicion that all I had to do was level up my character, my worldview. And then it got confirmed literally this morning when I was reading Create Don't Capture. I'm halfway done with it. I started it yesterday, and I'm literally just cranking it out because I want to get into these worldview books, spirituality books, all these books. And in it, he said, he was basically, it just goes through like how to create content, what to do, what to say, like all the stuff. Exactly what I'm doing right now at this moment on the podcast. And in it, he said, don't worry about your message, but worry about the messenger. So basically, level up yourself because your audience wants to hear you growing. Like they want to see you growing. So that confirmed everything. Now I have even more of a reason to just focus on my personal growth and just document. Like back when I was first starting business, the first business that the first real action that I was taking to be serious about business was creating my LLC. And this was a big, massive fear for me. And I didn't even know what to do. So this business came to mind and it was like a acne business. And I was going to name it Stop Acne. I don't have any passion for acne. And I realized that because I registered the LLC through Zen Business, and I was like looking up, I was researching like about acne, and I realized like this is boring. I hate this. This sucks. So then I was like, I can't get into business like this. So luckily they were still in the process of processing my request. So they hadn't actually sent the papers to the state. So I texted their customer support and told them that I wanted to change the name to Ascend Momentum, which I actually got the name on a, what did I get it on? Chatbot GBT. And so I used AI to figure out the name. And to be honest, I didn't really fully like the name at the time, but I just wanted to switch it to something. And I realized like I want to focus on self-improvement, just because that's what I want to improve on myself. Like I don't want to waste my time learning about something else when what I really want to do is improve myself. It was more of a selfish thing because I didn't even know that at the time. I didn't even know that business was even going to work out for me. So I didn't want to risk wasting all this time and energy learning about some stuff that I didn't even care for, like acne, when I could have just spent all my time and energy doing something that I was going to do anyways, like self-improvement. So that's what I ended up doing. And then later on, I created a podcast, and that's a big thing. Like that was why I wanted to, like the podcast was a huge thing. I could have talked about many things, but I decided, I heard, I think it was Gary Vee or someone said, document, don't create. Or, yeah, document, don't create. Like, document your journey instead of create Star Wars. Like, he said, document your journey is much easier than creating like fantasy or science fiction, like creating something random, like something brand new, like Star Wars. So document your journey. So then I realized, oh, I want to document self-improvement so I can get better myself. And that's why I'm so grateful for this. Because now I don't even I just have to worry about improving my quality. Like that's the only thing I'm working on about business, improving the quality of my podcast. And essentially, there's some little things that I could do, like learn how to create thumbnails for YouTube, which I'm putting off because I don't care for it. But there's also there's a lot of things that I could do. But right now, the best thing I can do to improve the quality is simply just improve myself. Like focus on the messenger, not the message. If you just improve yourself, then that's how you grow. Like that, when you're growing, you're showing your audience that, and they follow you and they love you for it. So that's another suspicion that was confirmed, and that's like, I'm so glad that I read this book, because now I'm going to go all in on learning for myself and just documenting it. Because one of the best things is reading. Like I spent all summer reading books. I spent like all winter break reading books. I was just reading for like 6 hours a day, a long time, like maybe even 8 hours. I don't know. But I was reading all day. That's all I did. Go to the gym and read. That's it. And I still do that today, but I podcast, obviously. But and now I have school, but that, whatever. Besides the point. Now with this new routine, I can literally just read, study all week. Read, take a lot of notes. And that already locks in a lot of stuff in my brain. Then I can consolidate all those notes into 7 hours worth of content. And then I can record all those notes in 7 hours of content. And that locks it in even more. Like the consolidation and then the recording locks it in even more. So I'm going to be growing so much using this new routine. Like I'm going to be growing so much more than just simply passively reading. Because when you passively read, it shifts the chemistry of your brain, it shifts your worldview, it shifts everything. Beneficial. But that's like level 1. But if you take notes, that's level 2. But if you take notes and then teach, that's level 3. like level 3 learning is so valuable. And that's what I learned with Transurfing, because I see like all the benefits. I see all the value. I've only read it 2 times, and I have such a profound knowledge now, or understanding now, just from 2 times reading it. And that's because the second time I read it, I was actively learning and actively teaching it. So I was level 3 learning instead of level 1 learning. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in the upcoming days. But there's going to be probably like 7 episodes in between now and then when I actually implement it, because I'm going to be recording an episode after this, so that's 1 episode. And then I'm going to record an episode tomorrow. Is tomorrow, okay, so 1, 2. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, so there's going to be at least 5 episodes in between, depending on how successful I am at creating out the script for 7 episodes this weekend. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll have to do like half the episodes this weekend and another half next weekend, and then fully go in the next week. So it may be 5 days, it may be like 20 days. Who knows? But I am still in school, so I still have to spend half of my day in school. So, but once I get out of school, like today's Monday, and I didn't have school today, so I had all weekend, including today. And let me tell you, my routine is so optimal over the weekends. I literally just do my normal morning routine, and then during my morning routine, I read from 6 to 7, and then I go to school usually around like 7:30. But over the weekend, I do my morning routine, and then I read until 8, and then I sleep. I take a 26-minute nap, and then I wake up. And then actually lately I've just been thinking, because let me explain this one thing. I was talking to my friend about the pros and cons of dropping out of school, and there was one pro that I missed that he said, and it's having a lot of time. He said a pro is having a lot of time in solitude and being able to think. And that is actually, and I instantly was like, oh yeah, that's a huge one. And ever since then, after my naps, my morning naps, I literally just lay there and just stare at the wall and just think. Or just stare blankly at the wall and do nothing. And I found that that's extremely beneficial as well. It's just something, I don't know what's about it, but I feel like we're supposed to do this as humans, just stare blankly at the wall. So I do that. I only do that for like 10, 20 minutes, and then I go back to reading. And then at like 10 or 11, I eat, and then I go to the gym if it's my gym day. And then I come home, and lately I've been doing 2 episodes on the podcast. So I just come home, meditate, record, meditate, record, and then go to bed, meditate, and then go to bed. And that's my entire routine. But over winter, actually, in 2 months, I'm gonna be done with school, because I was on the fence about dropping out, but I decided to just stick with it and finish school up. So in 2 months, I'll have all that time, because my weekend routine is extremely optimal, and I literally just sit in solitude all morning from like, I don't know. I sit in solitude all morning reading and thinking, meditating and sleeping. And that's just from this weekend. I'm so much better than I was on Friday. Just from one weekend of just deep study. So that's going to be literally my day-to-day basis. Like, I'm going to do that every single day over second semester, because I'm not going to school second semester. But that's it for the episode. To wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to look up at the sky.